Sorry, I was on mute. Hi everyone, how is it going? Let me see, there are so many comments on the chat already. Oh, I see so many familiar faces. Let me just, go ahead with the comments already and then we'll start with the session because I see so many of them over here. Okay, let me scroll up. First, no way. Hi Yash, how's it going? Skiddy always messages fast. I know, I have always seen him or her message faster. Hello, hi. Today we'll finally get to know the story of how I have not been brainwashed. I'm sorry about the camera quality today. I am back home in Delhi and I haven't been able to set it up as great as it was in Bangalore. But we will work on it probably till the next stream. We are waiting. Yay. Hey all, I used to put the pizza sticker in English Discord this morning. That's amazing. Uh, Hi people, hello. Um, Only if we could add it to Twitch somehow. I think you're talking about the sticker. Uh, okay, so we have the sticker conversation going here. I remember Aiza's interview track from a few months back. That was fun. We solved some deep good questions and spent the rest of the time. Wow, that's cool. Um, my brain is braining. Yay. Okay. Hello, hi Skiddy, hi everyone. Uh, I, oh my god, it's 4 a.m. How are you awake? Hello, hi. Listen, I am not brainwashed by Google. I really want to mention that. Please leave the link to any projects and resources in the chat so I can catch it up. Sure, definitely. Um, this one is going to be a little lighter because this is a series with two parts. So today I'm just going to talk about everything related to preparation, and all the links, resources, questions, practice projects will be covered in the next stream. So it's going to be chill for you, and I hope you have the energy to attend the stream, or probably just go to sleep and you can see the recording later on. I am sure you won't miss on a lot. Let me share my screen. Lord, I'm a night owl. I cannot stay awake. I think I had a 10 or 11 hours sleep because I did not have office this morning. So I have a nose piercing for quite a while. It's been more than a year now. I think it's just prominent in this lighting, and it's kind of a very messy lighting. But half of my setup is at home in Bangalore, and half of it is here. So this was just as much as I could figure out here. So yeah, we will just have to make do with it this presentation. Okay, so before we go ahead with anything, let me just give an introduction for the people who don't know me here. Hi everyone, my name is Deekshita. I am a software engineer at Google and I am a coach with Major League Hacking. A fun fact about me would be I am super pumped up about this weekend. It's Diwali. I was just fixing some lights. After this stream, I have to go fix other lights at my home, and then we'll have like a whole big celebration. So I am super excited about it. How about you? How is your weekend going? How has the Global Hack Week been for you all? We have good 2 hours and we are going to talk a lot. So I thought we'll just catch up on the fun talk right now and then we'll go to serious work talk. Uh, have a great session. I'm going to catch up on this one tomorrow. Have fun. Thanks. That's okay. You can catch up on it really later. That's fine. You're excited about Diwali too? Happy Diwali. Happy Diwali, everyone. I am just very pumped up. I have a lot of decoration to do after this stream. So, yay. I think you can actually see the Diwali excitement on my face right now. Okay, so we have the stream, we have the presentation right now on screen. So let's start with it. Um, as you all know, Yash has said it several times that he believes I've been brainwashed by Google, which I haven't been. But today we're going to talk about interview preparation, how to prepare for any sort of technical interviews, not just software engineering, but in specific to other tech stacks as well. This one is going to help you for almost all of them. I have never given a system design interview, so that is something which even I am not fully aware of. So that's just a FYI before. But other than that, I think I've given like particularly specific to uh, one tech stack interviews as well as the whole basic software engineering interviews where you go from data structures to oops OS and all of that stuff. So this presentation, I just have 6 or 7 slides here, but I think I'm going to talk a lot and I'm going to explain a lot of things on how to prepare, how things go, how the whole process is. And it can be quite stressful, and just some of the times it gets super exhausting because you have to go through a lot of rounds, a lot of preparation. And sometimes if in the end things don't work out for you at that moment, it just feels like that you want to give up, but don't. I am giving you a heads up already. Please do not, because even I wasn't able to clear my second year internship with Google, and I was very very disappointed. But then I prepared again, and in my third year I got the internship. So that's a live example of do not give up, because it's going to be very very stressful, but at the same time very enriching in the end once you crack a company that you want. Okay, so let's begin with. Now, this is an idea of what all do I need to prepare. So, this is for software engineering interviews. When you talk about one particular tech stack, then it's that same tech stack. How do you develop projects in it? Let's say I want to go for a game development interview. So, I have done internships in game development and AR/VR before I joined Google. And over there, the basic step is that you need to know everything about game dev. And it's not like everything means that you are an Einstein and there's nobody else who knows game development better than you. It's more about you know the basics, you know how to build a game, you have prior projects in mind. Now every company will have a different set of requirements, a different requirement of the level of technology or the level of expertise that they want. And based on that they can judge you and they can accept or reject that offer. Now that is okay, because when we talk about companies which are looking for a specific role or specific tech stack, they are very very peculiar and very very I would say picky in taking out people. Like, if I want a game developer, I want someone with 3 years of experience who knows their tech stack well, who knows how to design a game, who knows how to build a level if they need. Now you can be a beginner and they may not require that uh, level of expertise for now, and that may lead to not being accepted, and that is okay. So I'm just trying to give motivation as well as explain all the things that you need to do. So that's for a particular tech stack. But when we talk about software engineering interviews, these are, I think, the top 5 things that are asked all the time. Data structures and algorithms is something which everybody prepares, but we learn the rest of the subjects in our college and in our university, in our college, and we tend to forget them right after the semester ends. Because let's be honest, when we talk about academics, we do complete that, we do give our exams well, but after that we just tend to forget that subject. But these are certain subjects that you learn in your university, that you learn in your academics, and that are important when you give interviews. And in case you're someone who belongs to some other stream, let's say people in electronics and communication engineering also appear for software engineering interviews. Now, in that case, these are certain topics that you have to keep in mind, because they are necessary and they are needed and they are definitely asked in a lot of companies. Talking about Google in specific, they only ask data structures and algorithms as far as I have seen the pattern for now, specifically for a fresher level. I am not aware of how the interviews are changed when it goes to a senior level, but as far as I've seen, as far as I've heard from other experiences, they are simply interested in knowing the data structures and algorithms and not the other subjects. So I'll break down all of these and I'll break down how much these are important and where you can prepare these from. So, or where I prepared it from. So, data structures and algorithms is something which everyone does. People, too, I don't really remember things that I studied in my past semesters. Exactly. So, data structures and algorithms is something people take courses of They learn it from YouTube. They practice lead code questions. They practice it from, for let's say someone who's doing competitive programming, they practice it from Code Chef. So that is something which everyone knows and is pretty much covered. What I did was I already knew the basics of data structures, but I wasn't able to explain it that well. So I took a course from an online course platform that we all know that there are a bunch of it. There's one course platform in India which is called Coding Ninjas. So I took an online course from them. I preferred that it was self-paced so that I don't have to be bounded to this particular timing or something like that. But they also had tests and evaluations because of which I was able to prepare it well. So that's the data structures and algorithms part. Then there is objective oriented programming. Oops. Now I love this particular subject. This is something which has been my favorite since school. And Oops is taught in your curriculum mostly for people who are from computer science and information technology and software engineering branches as well. But in other branches, this is something which you have to probably study from outside resources. So I will be adding some resources in chat which helped me. Let me just, I just, got the website name in my head. I couldn't remember it when I was making the presentation. So there's a website called tutorialspoint.com and there's one javadepoint.com. So these have, you know, I am someone who loves reading notes and studies from them. I prefer to not have videos. So these two websites have every particular resource available in it. You talk about any subject. Let's say, sorry, I just looked at the comments and I forgot. Um, so let's talk about any subject. Oops, OS, DBMS, and apart from these, if you go for computer networks or wireless networks or any of the subjects that you have in your college curriculum, there are notes available on these websites here very, very clearly. They also explain all of the data structures and specific computer languages as well, coding languages as well. So these two websites are like my go-to and they helped me survive college. So I am just linking them here. In case you're someone who prefers YouTube videos, for India in specific, for people who understand Hindi, there's a YouTube channel called Gate Smashers that has been a forever savior for every college student because it has materials for your college exams for everything. And if you are someone who does not understand Hindi, I think there are many more other channels as well because I preferred going through the notes. Gate Smashers was covering rest of the things which I needed. I think I wouldn't go ahead over there. You can go to any other YouTube channel which you prefer and understand. I'm not commenting on particular YouTubers here. Then we have OS, operating systems. Operating systems is again very, very important. You need to know what round robin scheduling is, what different forms of operating systems are, how do you evaluate them. There are so many questions asked, and there are a lot of people mentioning resources over there. So that's great. Then there's data DBMS, database management system. This was something which I did from my college notes itself. That was good to go for me. I had a very great professor, and whatever he taught was well understood in my head, and I did not have to study it from outside. But the resources I mentioned has all of them. And software engineering. If you are going for software engineering interviews, it's very, very important that you are aware of the concepts of software engineering, which is there from your in your college syllabus or university syllabus. Um, I know from school days. So DBMS in your school days and DBMS in university is very different. That you go ahead for a level up as well. So maybe try to refresh your concepts and just try to understand it all. Okay, so these are the topics that you need to prepare, and explaining this slide took a good 15 minutes. So I think I planned well by the 6 slides that I have in my head. Any questions that you have, keep mentioning them in the chat, and I will answer it. What is S in OOPS? Always said object oriented programming and we call it OOPS. Is it what? Is it object oriented programming structures? What is it? Object oriented programming system. Okay. I just did a Google search for this one. What about the first round aptitude? I haven't given an aptitude round ever, so I am not aware of it. But we are going to go ahead with further topics about interview preparation and applying for jobs in general. Um, but I think the aptitude round is something which goes with the normal general knowledge. I'm not sure. That's something which I haven't appeared for, so I don't have much knowledge of it. But there are a lot of resources available online. There are a lot of mock tests available, so just try to give them and try to find what all you need to know, because aptitude tests are, I think, different for every company. How to study OS. Operating systems, I think there are certain subjects which are very theory specific, and you just need to cram it up. You just need to understand the concepts and like know the definitions in your head. That's what will work in your interview and basically the company exams. They don't ask much in detail as far as I'm aware. And talking about the college exams, I think you just have to like probably rectify things. You just have to learn it. There's no other way to explain how to study OS. Are all of these subjects must to qualify the interview? They are not actually, but basically, if you talk about software engineering for different MNCs, a lot of them ask different concepts. I have interviewed for two MNCs so far, and one of them is very data structure specific, and the other one asked for OOPS, OS, and DBMS. So basically, these are like five subjects which are recommended that you are aware of them, and they may or may not be asked. That's a very hit and miss kind of a thing, but just probably study all of them. And yes, computer networks too. I just remembered computer networks is also very important. Um, Aptitude round happens mostly in tier 3 colleges during placement. Okay. I wasn't aware of it because my university, I don't know, I think just Goldman Sachs probably gave an aptitude round, but I was placed by then, so I did not appear in the uh, whole process. Okay. Accept my connection request. I think I missed out. I will probably check it out. When they ask about, let's say, round robin algorithm, how do they go with it? Do people code it at the interview, or they explain how this algorithm work? Good question. So basically, when we talk about round robin or something like that, first of all, these topics might not even be asked in interviews, but they may be asked in their online challenges. That's when they're asked in probably MCQ questions or something like that. But when we talk about, let's say, interviews in general, so in interviews, they might ask, like, okay, this, if you've ever appeared for a university exam and you know about round robin scheduling, they'll probably give you a table and they'll ask you how to organize it. Mostly, round robin is not coded, but you have to explain the logic behind it. And you have a common doc, or if you are appearing for interviews in person, you have a whiteboard or a paper to write it on. So just probably explain them how the algorithm works. You don't have to code it. But if they do say that, okay, once you've explained the algorithm, and if they say, okay, great, now let's see how do you write it in code, then you have to. How much DSA is sufficient for a good company? I think you need to know all the concepts, all the basics. There's no limit of how much DSA. Even I don't know if I'm very proficient in DSA in comparison to someone who's probably knows more than me. But knowing the basics of every concept is very, very important, I would say. Wanted to confirm, is it really like companies prefer CSE students over EC students to have the skills and more than qualified than the CSE, or is it just a myth? Okay, so I would say that I've seen a bunch of EC students getting placed at companies higher than CSE students or having great offers in hand and in software engineering roles. So, as far as I've seen, I don't think there is any uh, bias over bias for CSE over EC, but basically EC students have to prepare more or have to work quite harder because they also have to learn the concepts which CSE students just had it in their syllabus. They'll have to do it out of the way, and they also have to give their exams. And I know EC is much difficult than CSE or IT. So that is the case, but I am not sure about preferring CSE over EC. If you have the skills, if you know your concepts, if you are good with what you are applying for, they would happily take you in the company. If we talk about campus placements, it might be a whole different scenario. This is something which I would say is in off campus placements. If you have any computer related relevant degree which the company prefers, you can go ahead with applying for them very easily. How common is it to be selected aside from interview, as in open source or remote work? Okay, so for open source, I think it depends from program to program. Some programs are more inviting, like have more space and are more accepting for even people who are new to the tech. So again, it depends on the sort of work. It depends on the sort of company. I would prefer, like, I would recommend that start with going for an internship in a startup or probably a smaller group because you may have higher chances of getting selected there. Understand it well, and basically after that, um, go for somewhere higher level, and that's how you might, uh, jump the ladder up. How much of this do you really use during your job? Data structures and algorithms. We often are confused that is it something which actually is getting used. It does get used. You need to know database management system. I write SQL statements every day in my work. And DSA is something whenever we code, data structures is important. Understanding of OOPS, we use classes every day is very, very important. OS and software engineering in specific is something which is not in my daily use, but I think rest of the concepts we work on it every single day. Okay. Now what I'll do is we have a bunch of questions going on. I'll probably pause on that, go to the next slide, and then once I explain that next slide, I'll start on the questions again. So, how to apply for jobs? I think there are a lot of questions related to that. I will just explain it through the slide and then go to the questions again. Um what is the application procedure? So, you can either go for careers website, simple, any careers website for any company. If you are in college, if you have a good TPO, that is training and placement cell, you can apply on campus for any company which is entering your campus for placements. So these are the two ways that I would say you apply directly. Then also keep an eye out on LinkedIn. A lot of times there are companies which are looking for freshers, but you might have missed that on the careers website. But on LinkedIn, people post job postings very, very often, so you can keep an eye out over there. And then there are a lot of websites which have specific internship and placement like jobs available. There are a lot of listings, well found, for example. You can definitely go on and apply from there. Now, within that application procedure, there are a bunch of things. You have to submit your resume, you have to go for cover letters, you have to answer the paragraph questions, which are very, very important. And I think that's probably most just of how you apply for most of the companies. Um, Another way to ease into the process is to get a referral. Now, what happens is that there are chances that your application may never be reviewed, which is very common if you talk about MNCs, which have loads of applications entering in them every single day, and you're applying off campus. So, when you have a referral in hand, that gives you a one up that at least your application will be reviewed. The process will be same throughout after that, but referral gives you just an assurity that they will review your application. Third, cold emailing. Cold emailing is something which I wasn't aware that is a way to get you an internship or a job offer, but I did see that somewhere. So I had a friend who was basically going through a particular application, and he just figured out that these are the things that are going wrong with them, and he emailed it to the company and saying that this is a particular bug in your system, and this is something happening, but there's a way to fix it. And he just like wrote that particular email as a feedback to them, and he got an opportunity to interview and basically intern over there. So that was one way which I got to know that hey, you can cold email and apply for jobs or look out for if they have any opening. So there are a lot of uh, creators, a lot of technical coaches, a lot of career coaches who have this cold emailing format, I would say, and you can just go through it, try to work it out, and see for yourself if that works in your favor. Now let's get back to the questions again. Uh, I don't know where was I last. Let me see. Okay, how much problem solved on lead code is sufficient? There is no amount of questions which would say that this is the mark. I would say just you should have practiced easy, medium, and if you are able to work on the hard level questions of all the concepts, and you need to know, like, if let's say there's a miscellaneous bunch of questions, and if I give a particular problem statement to you, if you are able to guess, hey, this particular tech stack should be applied, this not tech stack, this particular algorithm should be applied to write this code and to solve this problem, then I think you're good to go. You have a good preparation in head. I wanted to ask about the Google Step internship and when will it start and how should one prepare for it? I think Google Step internship starts somewhere around this time, if I'm not wrong. They started applications in the end of October or November mostly, and the interview process goes from December to January, mid Feb, and you get to interview uh, during that time and start the internship in May or June. So that's the whole timing of the procedure, but I'm not sure exactly when it's going to start this year. How do you prepare for it? Know your data structures, I would say, till trees. If you can go for graphs and DP, that's great, but for second year students, I think till trees is fine. And basically they will have an opening in their careers website and you apply it from there. Could you please comment on the knowledge of time? Yes, yes, definitely. So I think that is something which I will cover in the second part of this series, the technical interview preparation, because one of such questions was asked in my interview. So I will be explaining all of that in the part two in detail of what the question was asked and how I answered it and how much important time complexity and O notations are. What about non-engineering students? So this one is technical interview in specific. It's not interview preparation. So this will, I think, talk mostly about the tech interviews, the engineering interviews that are asked. I'm sorry if that that does not help you out. Any resources for the same? I will share that in the next part of the series. Uh, I am also from EC and I'm putting in the required hard work. If you know your skills, if you have worked well, if you understand everything, and if that particular degree is accepted for applying to that job, I think you're good to go. Thus, working in startup help in cracking FANG companies. It provides you experience. It helps you make your projects, it gets you better. I have worked in, I think, 4 5 startups before I entered FANG. Uh, I did short internships and freelancings with them. So yeah, I don't know if there's any like roadmap on if you do startup or if you work with them, it will help you in FANG, but obviously it helps you in gaining experience. Can a person having a non IT degree, like a degree in business administration, get into tech? Uh, I think you can, but I am not fully aware of it, so that's not something I can comment on very well. Uh, I can search it though, but I do know a lot of people who switch careers. If you have like some certifications related to tech and you know those things well, and if there's any company who's open to other degrees participating in that job role in the career website, I think you're good to go. Do you think it's good to apply jobs even if you don't meet the minimum requirements? So, I would say at least you should know the minimum requirements, but a lot of times they're just over mentioned at some places. So, if you think you can be good for the job, you might just as well just try to apply. And if you are getting selected for the interview, just go through the process for experience. But do keep in mind that certain companies have a 6 months cool down. So once you get rejected from an interview, you can't apply to that company for another role or that same role in specific for another 6 months. So do that on your own risk. If you have to apply for something in the next 6 months and you don't want that cool down period on you, um, prefer not to apply for that particular job. And that 6 month cool down is only if you start your interview process, it's not on the application process. Okay, so one question about cold emailing. Won't the recruiters feel annoyed or they are happy to check the same candidate over again and again? I am not asking you to email the same recruiter over again and again. Try with cold emailing once. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But in some cases, it may as well. So if you are like very eagerly looking for something, and if careers website or referrals are not working out for you, you might try cold emailing. Uh, so yeah, just up to a certain limit. Do not overdo it. Otherwise, anybody could get annoyed by it. Many startups nowadays focus on your software development skills. How do we balance our development and lead code? That's a great question. So I would say that I had this whole routine set out for me during college. I did 2 hours of data structures, lead code, and all of that stuff. I assigned 2 hours to it. That this is something which I have to do every day, because development is something which is very fun, and you tend to prefer doing development over data structures, which is very very common for a lot of college students. And if I think you all may agree to it, may or may not, but for me it was that I loved developing so much that I could have uh, probably slack on DSA a bit. So I made this routine that 2 hours of DSA is important. How many questions is not something I would say, but if you are someone who has already learned all your data structures and are just practicing, um, don't let those 2 hours be that we're just doing one question in that 2 hours and then we are switching to development. Create a balance for you however you want. For me, 2 hours plan worked out. Once I was done with it, once I had all of that in, after that I used to work on development, and that's how I balanced it. And I would give like 1 hour to college work and finish my papers or any of the projects and anything that I had. So that was the routine that worked out for me. And when I had learned all my data structures, when I was just practicing lead code or any other platforms, I think I had a set of questions in my head that I want to do three easy, two hard, like something of that sort. I'm just pointing out numbers. This is not my routine that I had, but these many questions. And once I am able to finish that, that's when I'll probably record content, and then later on I'll work on development, and then later on I'll end with this work or something like that. I hope that makes sense and helps you out in building a balance. How to stay motivated during DSA, because it's just making me skip DSA and jump into development. I think that the above question answered it for you. Um so one more tip I would give in DSA is have a study buddy. Uh, Keep check on each other, and if you are not able to find that particular companion or a friend who can do that for you, just um, probably ask someone in your family or probably ask your sibling to keep a check, because they are the ones who would love to help you with the grind, because that's when they can roast you if you're not able to finish things off. So I would say having a sibling check on you is very very motivating. uh, I am glad I did not need that, but if I did, my sister would have given me a good grind to complete my work. How to build logic for solving problems? I think it comes with practice. First of all, learn the concept, understand, probably take a course if this is something you're struggling with. I had a great foundation. I was very, very blessed with a teacher in my 11th grade who helped me out in understanding logics, and I think it started from there. But basically, you need like a proper guidance or a course for someone to help you out with it. Is step internship only for girls? I am As far as I knew, STEP internship was just for girls, and software engineering and later on placement is for everybody. Uh, I am not sure if the format of STEP internship has changed. Are there Google opportunities that are remote? No, I think everyone is back to office. People who had opted for remote already, or there are probably particular situations because of which you can't um, go in person, then you have the flexibility to work remote. But that goes through a whole process, and your manager has to approve it or something. How to differentiate resume for FANG? I did not understand the question very well. You mean how do you prepare your resume for FANG in specific or for different companies? I have another slide for that, which I'll be going in detail for. Is Google Step and Turn for students from Asia? Google Step and Turn is a program which goes all over the world. So there's nothing in specific for Asia students or Indian students or Europe or USA. It's just something which is a program for all over the world. Every different Google office has a different application process, so that you can get hired in the country you work for. If you're applying for an outside country, and if you can go outside and work over there, then that's a whole different thing to go ahead with. I'm not sure if there's a website that has a list of tech startups section by region or country, but if anybody knows something of that resource, please mention that in the chat. Okay. Um, how do non-CS students stand out? I was from IT. I don't know if it counts as non-CS, but have a good resume, know your projects, understand everything. I don't think there's something specific to non-CS students standing out. Um, What are the best practices, do's and don'ts to adapt to while a technical interview job with a human resource responsible? I have another slide where I'll be explaining all of this. It's hard to find an entry level position when they all seem to want at least 3 years of experience. I know, but I think the I around March or during this time, the I think June, July, August, that time, you have a lot of fresher level entries, because a lot of MNCs do campus hirings at that time. That's where you can find a lot of fresher level or entry level jobs. Okay. Thank you for sharing that resource, Clinton. I recommend you to visit Fidelity Careers website, who is an MLS partner to study. Thank you so much for sharing that. Please share tips to apply on LinkedIn. Okay. Um, I think LinkedIn procedure is quite different. I don't have anything specific written over here for that. Let's probably head back to the slides because we might run out of time. And then I will take this a question. Take this question up after that. We'll probably try to look for any job application on LinkedIn and try to apply it live over here so that it helps. Okay. I I think I need to head back to slides and then I will get back to these questions again. So, how do I make sure I actually get an interview with the company now? Um, after there is after you have applied for the company, how do I make sure that I get an interview? The application process was something which I already explained. First thing is your resume. Now, for resume, there is a website which evaluates your resume based on an ATS system. So that one and can actually help you evaluate your resume, give you a score, and also give you tips on how to uh, improve it. So I will add it over here. This website was personally something which I used to make sure that my resume was quite up to the level. Now, every company will have a different format, will expect something different. Make sure that you craft your resume according to the role you're applying for. Let's say you're someone who is interested in ML and AI, and you're going for a data science role. Uh, that I would recommend to mention your achievements, your past internships, and your projects which are related to data science. Instead of mentioning, "Hey, I made this website which uses JavaScript and TypeScript and all of that stuff." I'm just giving examples which are coming into my head. Some of that might not make sense, but I hope it's understandable. So yeah, mention things which are related to the data science role. If you are applying for software engineering, and I am talking about entry level here, start with your education because right now you're going for an entry level. You're not a working professional. Once you start working in a company and you have graduated college, your experience comes up and your education goes below. But for now, education should start first, then probably have skills, then your experience, your positions of responsibility, your projects, and if there's any extracurricular that might help in applying for a job, let's say it's a leadership role, it's a management role, or something like that. Then if you have led communities or societies or probably any fest or something in your college, mentioning that sort of experience would help. So craft your resume according to the role you're applying for. Keep it snappy, keep it easy to read. Entry level resumes should just be one page to not overdo it, and evaluate your score and just see if that one has like a good score. I would recommend a good score would be somewhere around 70, 80 or above, according to this website, and probably improve your resume based on it. But the kind of content depends on what job you're applying for. Then we have the online challenge. Now, this is a very, very major thing, and a lot of people face issues with it. So, online coding challenges can be quite typical, quite tough. Some of the challenges may have aptitude rounds. So, I would recommend once you have prepared your ESA, once you know OS, OOPS, DBMS, these questions can also be there in your online challenge, which is very, very important. Make sure that you practice well, give mock tests, and there are a lot of websites which have a lot of resources related to it. I think a lot of friends in my college preferred Geeks for Geeks is geeksforgeeks.com, right? GHG.com. I am not sure the actual link. I'll just search for it. It's geeksforgeeks.org, not com. Uh, is it though? Yeah. It's been quite a while I went to this website. Just a second. So this is the website. This one has a lot of mock interviews, a lot of mock tests, and a lot of examples for aptitude rounds over there, and company-specific questions as well. So whichever company, whichever MNC you're applying for, you can probably look over this website and find those questions, and it will work. It will help you out. Um, Just a second. So that's about the online challenge. I would say that for most companies, the online challenge has data structure questions, which are probably up to lead code level medium. Only few of them could go to level hard because these are 1 hour, 40 minutes challenges. I don't think anyone is 40 minutes, but these are like somewhere around 1 hour or 2 hour challenges, and all of them will have coding questions. You can't copy from somewhere. You have to make sure that you don't switch tabs or anything of that sort. So just probably apply to it and code very fair and square over there. I think that's pretty much it for the online challenge. And then the type of questions or the level of complexity. Um, a lot of companies prefer graphs and DP in the online challenge because that is something which is not asked in interviews. So I think it's best that you do know DP. And if you are someone who is interested in competitive programming, online challenges uh, are quite like get easier if you know CP because competitive programming helps you solve a lot of questions so you can get faster, and that's an easy way to crack an online challenge. So yeah. Now, things I need to keep in mind during an interview. So you're not expected to know everything. Now that you have like gone through the application process, your online challenge, and once you get an interview, what all you need to know at that point. This is the non-technical aspects mostly. You're not expected to know everything. Um, so we try to cram out everything and learn everything, and we're just super panicked and we just want to learn and be through with everything. No, you don't have to do that. Let's say there is a question that is asked which you are not aware of, which you haven't practiced before, or there's a particular data structure or technical concept that you have never heard of in your life, and that is asked. It is absolutely okay. And nobody is going to judge you, or nobody is going to make it difficult for you that, hey, you don't know this concept, you don't know this question, or you don't know this tech stack exists. You're not expected to be an Einstein in that 40-minute round. So, first things first, be patient, be calm actually if there's something which is asked which you're not aware of, and just let your interviewer know that, hi, I am not aware of this question, or I don't know what process is going to go over there. And the interviewer is there to help you out. So, he or her, I would just say the pronoun they or them, will help you out. In understanding the concept, or if there's something where they can give you a push in that, hey, let's probably try this approach or go over there and think this way. And if you're not able to figure it out even then, they may ask you a different question, and that's completely okay. So the interview will not sit and just judge you. They're there to help you out. They're there to understand what sort of uh, technical understanding you have, and in which way do you tackle a question, how do you figure out a logic, what thought process you have when you solve things. That's what they want to know. And you may have to code without an IDE. So for Google interviews you have to code on a Google document. You don't have an IDE, so you need to know your syntax very well. You need to not make mistakes in the code logic or writing the code syntax in specific, basically, because a lot of times we are so much dependent on IDs that we just probably don't know that, hey, this should be like in small letters, this should be in capital. We just keep typing it, and we have the ID to suggest that this is something wrong, and you just fix it alongside. You need to have a very robust and a non and an error free code uh, while you code on your document. So that is that. Let me just take a minute. Uh, okay, I am going back to the questions now. These days, as you know, DSA is important and Dev is too for related roles. But don't you feel it's kind of starting to get saturated? So, what should one do as an extra to make himself stand out among thousands of applicants as the age of blockchain, AR, VR, and AI, of course, is coming? I don't think there's anything specific to just push you out of the crowd. Uh, it's very very important to know your basics well. It's very very important to have good projects, and a lot of people do it, but I'm not very very sure how do you stand apart from all of those who are doing the same things. Just be yourself and prepare, and then a lot of luck also matters. So we can't fight the luck, but we can obviously do the hard work. I would say chances of being selected or chances of going anywhere is half luck and half your hard work. We cannot control the luck part, but we can definitely work on the hard work part. So yeah, Deekshita is open to become a study buddy if you use only Google Apps. That's not true. I mean, I can become a study buddy even if you don't use Google Apps, but I just don't know how to answer that. Um, how long does an interview job stay? Um, Mostly technical interviews for say, let's say, uh, software engineering last 40 minutes or an hour at max. You need to write code in Google Docs. Yes, you need to write in Google Doc. What is data structure? DSA? It's data structures and algorithms. Basically, all the concepts of coding where you use starting with strings, integers, arrays, trees, lists, graphs, dynamic programming. All of that comes under data structures. I find it hard completing projects I start. How do I go about this? Um, Probably work in a community and have someone check in on you that hey, is the project complete? And that's when you will actually have to finish it at some point. But just I think you need to push yourself and have the motivation. There's no other way going around it. And run scripts in sheets. Yes. What approach is better, video or documentations? I prefer documentations, but I think whichever approach you want to go for, whichever one works for you. Minimum qualifications, first or second year bachelor students majoring in C, C++, Python would have taken at least one college. Okay, so you're mentioning about the minimum qualifications of applying for jobs in US in North America. I'm not sure. I did not understand. I think you're okay. You're mentioning this as an eligibility for Google Step internship. Got it. What kind of projects should be put to stand out if you're a non-CS student from a tier 3 college? I think first would be that the project should be completed end to end. By end to end, I mean that if there's something which involves both front end and back end, that should be completed. Then, one thing that I've always done for my projects to stand out of the crowd is that I basically add a novelty in it. I add a catch point, I add a level of differentiation. So it could be any other basic project which already exists but has a form of creativity which I have built and I have added a concept around it. So I would give an example. There is a concept in AR called the AR portal, which basically opens a door and enters you into a virtual space. I named it as the Doraemon's Anywhere door. If you've seen Doraemon as a cartoon in your childhood, I'm not sure how many people have, but Doraemon was one of my favorite cartoons, and Doraemon had an Anywhere door. Basically, you open the door and you can travel from anywhere to anywhere. So if I'm living in India right now, if I open the door, I could even go to USA using that door. So in AR, what I did was that door is an anywhere door for Doraemon, and it can lead you to any uh, space that you want to go for. So that's the thing. That's how your projects stand out. Add a form of creativity, add a form of personal touch, add a form of story into a project, and really think it out. A lot every project is going to use a basic structure. Let's say if it's a website, every one of them is going to use the same concepts of building a website. You can have a carousel, you can have a nav bar, an image, multiple pages. Most of them are going to have the similar concepts, right? But what will like make it stand out is that this project has a form of creativity, has an idea which was different from the others, and that is something which you can think of. That is something which um, you'll have to figure out yourself. I hope that makes sense now. What are the job interview ethics to follow by potential candidates and the HR departments responsible? Okay, first of all, I would recommend sit in formals, have a good um, body posture because your body language counts as well, and be polite, be like have a good attitude towards the interviewer, and answer everything. If you don't know anything, do not just sit in silence. Probably let them know that, hey, I'm not aware of this, or this is something which I've not done in the past, and just go with the flow whenever the interviewer asks something, and prefer not to joke around, but also not be extra serious or have all the answers learned and you're just like probably reading it out of somewhere. Be very natural, and I think that's pretty much it from my side. I hope that makes sense. Is it okay to include simple projects you did in a bootcamp? Yeah, but I would say that if you did a project in bootcamp, probably add some creativity to it, give it up a notch, and then add it to your resume. Okay, I think this has a lot of questions. How much time does a job interview should stay? I think I answered that before. It is around 40 minutes. How long does the candidate take in order to give back an answer to the asked question? Um, so let's say it is a coding question, right? And there's you have to probably code an entire approach, but that's not something you just come up in a second. So whatever you're thinking, keep answering that to the interview. Let's say they asked you on how to sort an array. So there are very a lot of sorting algorithms, and they may have asked you a particular time complexity in which you want to do it. So I would say, okay, so sorting, there are a bunch of sorting algorithms which we could go ahead with, and there are these algorithms um, that I am aware of, bubble sort or any other algorithm that you want to mention, merge sort, quick sort. And if we talk about the time complexities, bubble sort could be of n square, and merge sort and quick sort are n log n. So I think we can go ahead with any of the procedures of merge or quick. And after that, I am more aware of the merge sort one, so I think I'll go ahead with this one, and then start explaining how merge sort works. And then once you are aware of how to start coding, you can start typing and explain the entire approach. So you don't have to like just shut up if you don't know the answer. Uh, Slowly take them through what you are thinking, because they want to know more about your thought process than the actual implementation of the question they asked. So run them through whatever you're thinking at that moment, and once you like that thought process leads you to a particular answer, give them the answer. So I think that would help, and that's a very good tip in case you are stuck in a question in an interview. Should he or she start answering the question listed one by one, or after the HR recruiter possibly finishes asking them all? I think that depends from person to person, like how the HR is asking you the question, but do not just start answering whatever's listed. If they are asking you the questions, wait for them to ask everything, wait for them to mention what they are expecting at that moment, answer it, and then probably just go ahead. Okay, so what we are going to do is we are 1 hour in the stream. I will take like a 5 minute or 2 minute break. I need to just go and grab some water, and then we can go ahead and answer the rest of the questions. Cool. Does that sound okay? There are a bunch of questions and I'm happy to answer them all for you. I'll just take like a 2-3 minute break and grab some water, and then we'll be back. Let me put some music. I think we'll be back at 6:40 p.m. IST if that works. Show this banner, hide the comment, and just Okay, I am back. I grabbed some water and I think we're good to go for the next part of the session. Uh, I think it's actually the same part of the stream, but I have a well taken 5 minutes break, so we can start answering the rest of the questions now. Let's see where I was. So I had answered one question from Tintin, I think. Yes. What are the gestures and postures to adapt while a technical job interview? I would just say sit straight, do not lean back on your chair like this when you're answering questions. Just sit straight, be proactive, and keep answering. I think that's pretty much it. And if you are someone who uses hands and talks, that's completely okay. I do that too. How important is it to have soft skills on your resume? It's as important as technical skills at some point, I would say, if you are someone whose work involves working with clients, who has to deal with a lot of teams and basically work with your colleagues. Soft skills are equally important because in case you're not able to explain things that you know, how would you work around with people, right? um, how to proceed in order to prepare a portfolio for an interview job. Okay, so by portfolio, I think you are mentioning about your projects. So I would say that one thing is that you mention it in your resume, right? And there are certain sessions which are going to talk well in detail about how to prepare a portfolio. But what I personally did was I had all my projects on GitHub and I just linked GitHub as a portfolio, and that worked pretty well for me. Thanks for answering that, Shimri. Should the candidate bring with him or her a paper copy of his CV to the interview job session? Yes, that's so. Most of my interviews have given them online, but I would say that yes, bring your copy of CV, your documents related to your education and things like that, which may be asked in an interview, specifically in a HR round. Should a candidate bring with him or her a paper copy of the portfolio? Yes, anything and everything that you're mentioning, a paper copy of it would be uh, highly helpful. How to stay consistent and motivated, and how to balance DSA with depth. Consistent and motivated is something where you have to push yourself. In case you're not able to do that, have someone check in on you. I think I had mentioned the same answer before, but I would say just have a sibling check on you because they are evil and they would definitely want to torture you if you're not able to do something. So having them check in is a great way of staying on track and balancing DSA with dev. It's important to do DSA every day. So have a routine for this much amount of DSA is something that I want to do every day. And once you're done with that, that's when you focus on dev because dev is something everyone tends to prefer over DSA. So having a foundation on your head for DSA is actually what you need, and dev is something which you'll happily pick up yourself if you're interested in a particular tech stack. I've already watched videos. Watched on YouTube. Is there anything else I can do? I don't know if I'm getting bored. Okay, I'm getting bored while learning DSA. What should I do? You have to do DSA. Even if you get bored, this is something which you need if you want to apply for companies, if you want to apply for MNCs, if you want to go in software engineering. So just push yourself out and probably try a different course or a different teacher, a different resource which may help you to uh, understand things better and not get that bored. But it is important. So you have to push yourself. If you are motivated enough to go for a job in this particular field, you have to do DSL. So prepare your mind that you need to do this, it is important, and you have to do it some way or the other, and just push yourself out there. Can you share more about this ARVR project for guidance? I am okay. I was talking about the Doraemon's Anywhere Door. So basically, Anywhere Door is a concept which involves shaders in gaming. So in gaming shaders, I just had this one thing that once you enter this particular part of coordinates. Once you cross this one, the shader will turn value 1 for the um, world which you are entering, and that's when it starts showing. And as soon as you cross back, the shader value goes 0, so it disappears. That was a very simple thing to do, and you just had to build that entire scenario where you wanted to enter through that door, and I named it Doraemon's Anywhere Door. What are the communication technique, methods, talks, behaviors recommended to adapt while an interview job with the HR recruiter? I would say the way I'm talking right now, like I'm answering questions, I'm trying to communicate it, I'm trying to mention things, and if I think that I have probably mentioned something super complicated which does not make sense, I do add that if it makes sense, this is what I was trying to say, and just keep like be polite, be open, try to communicate as much as possible, and just think of your recruiter as a layman who does not understand such things and explain it to them in that particular way. That is a very, very helpful tip. Uh, think of it that your interviewer does not know anything and you're trying to teach them everything from basic scratch. So you explain it in a way like you explain someone who does not know the concept, and that's how you'll actually be able to communicate that particular topic or the answer super well. Please explain what you mean by coding without an IDE. Coding without an IDE is that, let's say I give you a question. Okay, I will just tilt over here. So I will go to a new doc. Start new. Oh, I haven't tried the entire window. I will present my window. 1 minute. Share screen. Window. Untitled document share. And add it to stage. Okay. So, is this clearly visible? I hope it is. I'll just zoom in. That's too much zoomed in. I think this one is okay. So, I will give you a question on just linear search through an array and find if number 3 exists. And the array has 10 values: 24, 4, 57, 32, 234, 3. I will also add. Um, this is 7 numbers, right? 12, 78, 99. Uh, yeah, 10 numbers. So the logic will be for int I equals 0 till I is less than 10. I am coding in C++. If A of I is double equal to 3, return true. So I'm coding in a Google Doc, right? That now this one became capital, so I have to make sure that return does not have a capital R. Return true. Then I actually add a function for it and explain it while I'm doing this. So that's how an interview process goes, where you can't, where you have do not have an IDE to code in. You don't have a compiler basically. You are not on this slide. Okay. Give me motivation to stay consistent in solving late code. I would say find a study buddy or just, two people working on the same set of questions and you check in on each other that have you done these questions or not. How to prepare mentally and physically before the day of a job interview session. Okay, so I have a very I wouldn't say it's a fun story, but what happened at my first interview, and my first interview was with Google. I panicked. I almost, almost not. I actually puked right like 10 minutes before my interview. I was so much stressed. I was so much I thought that I may not be able to do it, or I may not answer questions well. This is my dream job, this is what I wanted, and how would I survive this particular interview? But in the end it went all great. So try to stay calm, it's going to be okay. And just like, if you know everything, try to keep telling yourself that you're good to go, you have prepared your best, you whatever happens is not in your control, you have put in as much effort as possible, and all you need to do is just relax now. I did not do that. I did not like follow this advice that I'm giving to you right now. I had like whole panic going on. But yeah, that is something that I would recommend, that do not panic. uh, with our GitHub profiles, what about a learning project? Should we make a second profile that's more professional? I think everything in one profile works, and I have there's no uh, I don't think you need to differentiate between these are your learning projects or these are your entire complete projects. One way to make those two different is that in your complete project, have a proper README where your entire project process is mentioned and everything. And yeah, I think that would be pretty much okay. You don't need two profiles, you don't need the I'm learning tag. Just have like them differentiated in a way where there's a proper readme for a deployed project, and the other one probably has something mentioned in the readme that this is something you're preparing for in that way. That actually makes your GitHub profile also stand out, so that's a good idea. Please zoom in a bit. I think I did that, and I think that uh, was understandable. Okay, how did I come to the end of questions? Wow. Uh, let's go ahead and take on the next slide, and then we have a whole part of the session dedicated to Q&A. So do's and don'ts. This is just something which was on top of my head while I was preparing the slides. I may have a lot of do's and don'ts, but this was what I came up with while I was preparing it. Focus on your preparation. Focus on what you're doing. Make sure you have your data structures in. You have your lead code preparation in. You are um, going well ahead with your oops OS DBMS, and you have whatever you are working for. Just focus on your preparation, not someone else's. Know your basics well, it's very very important. So what happens is that we get so used to learning trees, dynamic programming, going to graphs and all of that specific questions, that you sometimes even forget the basic concept of how to solve complexities in an array. And that is something which I've seen happen. And companies like great MNCs uh, do tend to ask you basic questions. So my second round at Google was completely based on arrays, and we all keep cramming up that DP, trees, graphs, and all of those layers. We need to do maps, hash maps, and all of those complex tech stacks, and we tend to forget what our basics are. So make sure that you're well aware of them. Going to don'ts, don't compare yourself with someone else's progress. Everyone has a different ladder. Some of them might have built 12 projects or something, but that's because they were probably not working that hard on some other academics, or not on their DSA or something. Or probably there's someone who just are a fast learner or quick learner, or who do not need that much time. So it's totally okay with whatever their progress is. Do not just start comparing yourself, because at that point you tend to forget what you had to work on. And that's where it all goes down the hill. So do not compare yourself with someone else, and do not lie on your resume. I cannot stress it enough. If you have, let's say, learned a particular tech stack, a particular concept in one semester, and you have forgotten it now, it isn't a part of your skills. So let's say you had machine learning in your third semester, and you're applying for a job in your third semester. If you do not know machine learning now, if you cannot create a machine learning algorithm, if you cannot build projects in it, then it's not your skill. It is something which you did in the past. It's not a part of your skill, because let's say your interviewer goes through your resume and they are well aware of machine learning and they say, "Hey, so I see that ML is one of your skills. Can you show some of your projects, or let's head to a collab notebook and start working on this particular machine learning algorithm which you've totally forgotten because it was just a part of your syllabus?" It's going to be a very embarrassing situation. So I would say just avoid lying on your resume in specific, and just do not make a two-page resume or fill it with so many irrelevant information just because you thought that you need to write everything over there. Like, what are the clothes to wear uh, for the day of an interview job? I think, yeah, if any company has a dress code, go for it, or just wear formals. That's safe. Can you tell me how to increase my code forces rating? I'm stuck in 1700s, but quant firms in my college want around 1900 to 2000. I am not someone who has worked in CP, and that's some question which I'm not quite aware of. So, when asked about salary expectations for an entry level job, how should you answer? Okay, so I would say that before you entered in that interview, just do some research and find out what they offer to that particular job. Now, it's easy to answer a salary expectation once you worked somewhere, once you already had a steady salary in your hand. So, just find out what is actually paid in that company in an entry level job and what is paid in your particular region wherever you're working, for an entry level job, and based on it probably mention an answer and just say that, how, as per my knowledge, per my knowledge, what I've heard, and this particular amount is offered, so I wouldn't expect anything less. And I think that's polite and to the point answer. We can't lie on our resume. Yes, you cannot lie on your resume. Do not lie about your age, because later on you have to submit your KYC, like, documents. So do not lie. I was given the advice to list my courses on LinkedIn. That way, if they check LinkedIn, yes, that's, even if I don't list, that's a great thing to do, and that is quite helpful, because if they check your LinkedIn, if they go through your profile, they would know that you had already worked on it or learned something like this. So it will really, really help. What are the veto rights allowed to a candidate while a job interview session? I am not aware of the veto rights. This is something I would prefer not to answer. Any tips for how to approach cognitive aptitude test? I really suck at those 3D pattern recognition challenges. I haven't given any cognitive aptitude tests for the company I applied to. I've already only been to the entire process for two companies. So I haven't seen cognitive aptitude tests over there. But I would say it's, I think, easy to find um, these like mock tests or something on the internet. Let me just search. Cognitive aptitude test sample questions. There are so many websites which have preparations for it, like different questions and something. So I think go with it and try to understand from here. If you do not understand anything, there is Google. It could be a very go-to place to find anything that you need. Any tips on how to make French fries but with, sure, Yash. Soak potatoes in cold water, cut into slices. Wow. Thanks for answering that, Shimli. I would have answered something sarcastic otherwise. Okay, so I think we've gone through my material of things, and we have Q&A in the end. But I did mention some like that I will go through LinkedIn and we'll find on what all you need to apply for a job and give advices. So let's go to a job over here. Let's go. I will definitely not submit an application. So let's go for anything that's recommended. Okay, share your full profile with job posting. You click apply. Okay, I am not going to apply on the website, but yeah, they directly took you to their career website and started with an application. I think some companies directly have some form that you need to fill. Let's try for some other company, probably a startup which directly has something listed. Some game programmer apply. They all take you to their own job websites. So just go over there and fill the entire application process, register or something. So yeah, I don't know if there's anything specific to just your LinkedIn profile getting submitted. I think that was the format before, but some companies may opt for it and some may not. Because I have filled in some application directly in the LinkedIn website as well. So I am not fully aware, but yes, that's pretty much it. For some, it's directly through LinkedIn. By some, exactly. I have seen that, but whatever company I was going for did not have it. So just have a good LinkedIn profile as well if you're trying to apply from LinkedIn. Mention your projects, courses, your academics, everything. Make sure that you have a banner image. A lot of people tend to forget about updating their banner image. Do have that on LinkedIn as well, and just have a good complete profile if you're applying directly for sharing your profile over there. I gotta go and get involved in Diwali celebrations. Have a great, happy Diwali, and yes, I will do that after the session. I have a lot of decoration and lightings to add to my place. Um, does technical job interview session include a practice exam, um, test on the workstation operating system to validate result? I think they'll have a exam already, and once you clear that, that's when you go for your technical interview preparation, so that does not happen over here. My friends post about every little thing they do on LinkedIn. Should I share only major things or achievements, or can you differentiate between what what you're exactly mentioning? What do you mean by the every little thing? How little it is? um, I would say if it is something that you've done, if it is something that you've achieved which normally students don't, or let's say you got a certificate, you applied somewhere, you went through a competition or things like that, every sort of that thing could be mentioned on LinkedIn. So there's nothing like, there's no such concept as a little thing or a major achievement, I would say. And that is something which I have motivated people to do in the past. So if you have a project, if you uh, got something, just share it on LinkedIn. Can I share merged pull request in LinkedIn? If it was a part of Hacktoberfest, why not? Um, if it was a set of merge pull requests. If it was basically um, a code of a big MNC or a good high tech code that you participated in, or if it was through an open source program, yes, do that. But not like I randomly raised a merge request to update a documentation and it got accepted. That is not something that would work. Does big man companies check CP profiles from CM or CodeShip, or it's more related to lead code? I think there's a huge controversy on do we need CP to get into Mang, or only DSA works or what is preferred. Or, there are a lot of questions, a lot of controversies related to it. But I would just say that competitive coding helps in your online challenges. I am not sure if they check the profiles because I recently got into a company myself. I don't know the procedure that goes inside. But yes, if you have um, if you have linked a profile in your resume or if you have mention of it in one of your interviews, they may or may not check it out. It depends from company to company. It depends on the level of role you're applying for. And yeah, I think that should answer your question. Okay, how did I come to the end of questions? I did not. That is another question. A little bit off topic. I have applied for MLS fellowship very late November. Are there any chances for shortlisting for the interview? Fellowship is something which, okay, so I think a lot of folks have this doubt that our coaches fellows? Like, were they fellows before they became a coach? No, that's not the case. Do we know about fellowship? We know about how fellowship, like what fellowship is, but the inside procedure of what it's like being a fellow or how do we get selected, we are not quite aware of it. So I am not sure what the chances are for shortlisting for interview or how the process goes. But yes, there are some coaches who have been fellows before. So those are the ones who can answer this question for you. I am not, so I'm not quite aware of it. MLS always asks for a LinkedIn profile, so I think it's good to keep it updated and professional. Yes, even if they don't, it's very very beneficial that your profile is updated. There was this random program. It's not a random program. I got to know about it quite randomly, and it was just evaluating you based on your LinkedIn and your Twitter profile. And out of 9,000 developers in India, only 30 developers got selected for it, and I was one of them just because my profiles are updated and I just filled this form that was getting floated through, and I got a chance to be a part of it. Can you connect on LinkedIn? I would like to get more. Definitely. If you have sent a request, if you mention a note while you send a connection request, that actually helps me to filter out requests quite easy and I just accept it if there's a note. So yeah, you can do that. That helps me in finding out um, if people want to like, join the network and if there's someone I met through an event or just during a session. Thank you so much, Tintin. Uh, I sent no. That's great. I'll be able to accept it. Then I'll just quickly search for it. Maintaining streak in lead code GitHub does matter mentioning in resume. No, you. I don't think you should mention resume that you had a lead code streak of 100 days of questions of the daily challenges that you did. But it mentioning their links for lead code and GitHub does help because your recruiter might redirect to your GitHub profile or your lead code profile, and they would clearly see that you've been maintaining a great streak. Where can we find open source projects to contribute to? I think GitHub is your go-to place to find the projects. But I am not that much into open source. I think this question may have been answered in the previous Global Hack Week, though. If anyone in the chat or attending the stream knows the answer to it, please help. Uh, yeah. So it's. I think we are just quite on time actually. I will be here for 10 more minutes answering all the questions and then we'll end the stream 10 minutes prior to the closing time. For the next part of this session, we'll be focusing on interview prep, like the mock interview. So I'll go through the entire procedure of how I gave both of my interviews at Google and then follow up. We will do some questions or probably give an example of uh, a mock interview in the stream. And if there's anything else that you folks need, you can probably add it in the Global Hack Week chat or just mention it here, which I can cover in the next stream. Where can I get remote internships? I'm from East Africa, but I have failed to get remote jobs or even internships. Uh, First of all, thanks, Kitty, for answering that. Uh, I think if you apply for jobs, a lot of them, like we were looking at a LinkedIn job right now, which was clearly mentioned that it's a remote opportunity. So websites like Wellfound, or I think there are many more websites like these, or LinkedIn in general. When you search for jobs or internships, just probably have a filter for remote and apply over there. I think that's pretty much it. It's the same process as applying a normal job, but just add the keyword remote over there. When and how to reach other employees for referral when applying? That's a great question. So I would say that knowing someone prior would be beneficial because a lot of companies do not recommend giving referrals to people who have just reached you out on LinkedIn. That's something which is not recommended. Even in my company, it's not recommended to give referral to a random person who reached out to me on LinkedIn that hey, I'm applying for this job. You need to know the person. So if you know someone, if there's a mutual connection, reach out to them, probably talk to them, help them understand who you are, what you are doing, what you're motivated about, and then mention that hey, I did look at this opportunity and I was thinking to apply for it. If you are open to giving me a referral, that would be great. This is a way to actually approach someone for a referral. If you directly send someone a connection request that I'm applying for this job and I was seeking a referral and this is what I aim to do, that is great, but that's not something which is recommended for someone to uh, uh, put a referral for, if that makes sense. It feels like I've been giving a monologue for 2 hours. I think I've talked a lot today. I am so glad that you're helping each other out. That's great. Okay, so I think I'll be here for 5 more minutes and then I'll go and do my Diwali preparations. What? Okay, something off topic. What all you have planned for your celebrations? You're going to exhaust yourself before you go celebrate. We appreciate everything you're sharing with us. I don't think I'm going to exhaust myself. I love talking and like for 2 hours when I'm just going to do all the decorations, I can just keep my mouth shut and complete the decorations. Can you share the presentation slides in the discussion window panel? Of course, I can do that. Just a second. Let me know if you all can view it. I was also setting up the lighting. I'll go to finish. I need to finish the lighting. I have to put in the flower decorations, and I'll do the rangoli thing tomorrow. But I also need to get mehendi. I have to call my dad that I want to go and get mehendi today. Um, so yeah, there are a lot of preparations there. Sometimes I see jobs that need 3 years of experience and I have less years, but then I find I know almost all technologies. Uh, do not lie about the years of experience. Probably apply and reach out to them that hey, I don't have that much of experience, but I do know all these technologies that you need and I'm willing and quite motivated to work with you. It's preferred that way because they do a background check on you, and if you're lying about the years of experience, they would know. Happy Diwali. Happy Diwali to you all. I hope you have a great Diwali. I live in the States in India. I live in the States, but if I ever have the opportunity to visit India, it's like a beautiful time. It's a festival of lights. Though one thing is that around this time there may be a lot of pollution as well. Um, though crackers have been banned, some people still burn it somewhere or the other. But there's a lot of pollution because of other factors as well over here. Um, but overall, Diwali is a beautiful, beautiful festival. What about the Diwali trip? I got a new kurta. I have a very beautiful blinky suit that I'm gonna wear. I ordered it like months ago while I was in Bangalore, and I brought it back to Delhi that I have to wear it on Diwali. Okay, I think we're going to end the session here. Thank you so much for being a part. Thank you so much for staying for 2 hours with me while I gave my monologue and helped you out. I hope this session was helpful. I hope the guidance was enough, and I'll see you in the next part of the stream. Thank you so much for attending. Thank you. Bye. Thank you. Thank you. Happy Diwali. Yes, happy Diwali, everyone. I hope you have a great weekend. Thank you. Thank you so much. I'll see you all. Bye.